that if you go to a 4-period schedule per day, then you only have 4 opportunities for interaction, 4 different population groups to mingle with and that kind of thing. Teachers actually will only teach 3 classes out of 4, so they're only interacting with 3 groups of students. We're only changing classes 3 times, that kind of thing. So going to a 4-period schedule for health and safety reasons is a really good idea. The 4x4 block schedule is not new. It's been around for about 35 years. A lot of schools around the country use it. So this is not a experimental schedule. It's used by a lot of schools around the country. So it's something that I'm actually familiar with. They use it at Titusville High School. They used it at Titusville High School when I was there. They use it in almost every high school in North Carolina, and I was a principal in North Carolina and very familiar with the 4x4. You do take 4 classes every day, usually about 90 minutes, and in our schedule, they're going to be about 90 minutes. And you take the same 4 classes every day for the semester. So you're basically going to take what we used to, a course that used to take a year, you're going to complete that in a semester. But if you think about it, we used to go 45 minutes every day for a year, so to speak, and now we're going 90 minutes every day for a semester. Similar to college in that you're going to finish these classes each semester. So your students will be taking 4 classes first semester and then a different, in most cases, 4 classes second semester. So one of the other benefits to the block schedule is that we're kind of entering some uncertain territory, and for everybody's benefit, the students are now only going to have to focus on 4 classes right now as we go into this uncharted territory or this new territory. And same thing with the teachers. They only have to concentrate on delivering instruction 3 class periods while we're going into this new environment. One of the other benefits about a 4x4 schedule is at the end of the year, the students will have actually had the opportunity to take 8 classes total. So you actually have the opportunity to accelerate even more. You also have the opportunity for students who struggle to provide them with more opportunities for remediation. So 4 classes first semester, 4 classes second semester. So just wanted everybody to understand kind of the reasoning that I believe was behind the district moving to 4 periods, primarily a health and safety issue, but also the fact that even if you're at e-learning and you're at home, you're still only focusing on 4 classes as a student. You only have 4 to tackle in this uncertain or uncharted territory, this uncertain format. Same format second semester, obviously 4 new classes. I have no idea if the district's going to stick with a 4x4 schedule in the future, i.e. 21-22 and beyond, or revert back to the 7-period schedule. But I do know once you make a commitment to it first semester, you made a commitment to it second semester. So this is going to be our delivery model, is usually what it's called, first semester and second semester. So just wanted to give some background about the 4x4, and then we can jump into questions about that later too if people have questions. The other thing is, after the district announced kind of its first iteration, its proposal to the school board about how to reopen school this August and everything, we noticed that it was either in-school, in-person learning, or virtual through either Brevard Virtual or Florida Virtual. And Brevard Virtual and Florida Virtual do not offer IB courses. They do not offer the International Baccalaureate program. They also don't offer the ACE or Cambridge program, and they don't have a lot of advanced placement courses. So that was brought to the district leadership's attention. Thank you to many of you who helped bring that to their attention. And so that's kind of where the shift and the opportunity for e-learning came about. And so for the middle schools and the high schools. So in e-learning, I need to make sure we understand there's a distinction between e-learning and Brevard Virtual, and certainly a distinction between e-learning and how we finished the year last year. So the way e-learning is supposed to work is the student enrolled in a class in e-learning is supposed to be participating in that same class that's being offered live in person here at school. So theoretically, one of our students could have 4 live in-class blocks here at school, and another student could have those same 4 classes through e-learning at home. One of the differences between Brevard Virtual, Florida Virtual, and e-learning is if you're participating in e-learning, the state requirements for this are that you are logged in, you're participating with the class as it's happening live at school. So that's one of the things that everybody needs to understand, is that e-learning is one of our classes here at school that the student is accessing through an electronic format. And theoretically, they're supposed to be in class the same amount of minutes and participating as the students who are here in person, in class, in front of the teachers. Brevard Virtual and Florida Virtual are different. You enroll in a class. There are modules that you complete in that class. You typically don't have to sit for a specific period of time during the day. You can complete the modules at your pace, at your leisure. If you want to sleep during the day and work at night, as a lot of teenagers seem to like to do, Brevard Virtual or Florida Virtual would probably work in that format. But you don't have access to the same courses in Brevard Virtual and Florida Virtual as you do through e-learning. So you wouldn't have access necessarily to our courses. And again, tonight's focus is IB, and so our IB courses are only offered really in person with us or e-learning with us. So I just wanted to go through a little bit of the background of 4x4 and why the district chose that. It does offer some advantages, and I think Mr. Kellum's going to, we're going to talk about some of those a little bit later. But also wanted to make sure everybody understood the difference between e-learning as a virtual learning tool and virtual school, i.e. Brevard Virtual and Florida Virtual. One more thing I'm going to cover before we go into the questions, because I may answer some questions, is you have the opportunity of a combination. You can choose a combination of in-person classes with us and e-learning classes with us. You have the option of in-person classes with us and some Brevard Virtual or Florida Virtual. And you, of course, have the option of e-learning with us and Brevard Virtual or Florida Virtual. So you have a bunch of different options. And I'm going to say it now, so in case I don't forget, if you're thinking of any kind of combination, so not just straight in person or straight e-learning, you really need to reach out to your son or daughter's counselor as soon as possible so they can start to explore which classes you would want to accept through which format, which ones you'd want to pursue through which format. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Matt, and then we'll start trying to field some questions. Matt, did I leave anything out that we wanted to cover?
No, sir. I think you did a great job. I do want to it came to my attention that some people are having a hard time or do not see the raise your hand function. I did read on one of the messages said that there may be like an arrow up that will allow you to raise your hand. And then somebody mentioned that they maybe will go on to if they had a question, they cannot use their raise hand. Just turn the camera on and raise your hand in front of the camera so we can see you that way. I apologize for any inconvenience, but again, we'll get to your question. So thank you, Dr. Rendell. We appreciate that. At this time, we would like to open it up to any questions that you guys might have. So if you will again use the raise your hand function and be again mindful of your microphone, we would appreciate it. Okay, so let me see. Oh, I see my list now. So I don't know who was up first, so I apologize, but I'm just going to start with my top here. So I see Ms. Lopez, if you will unmute your mic and ask your question, please.
Hello, how you doing? I was just wondering about the TOK presentations or testing. How would that take place if you do the online version?
Okay, well, I'll take this one, Dr. Rendell, if you don't mind. So TOK will not have a test. TOK does not test. There are components that we will have to complete as a part of TOK and to receive the diploma. And we will be utilizing our TOK class to implement, instruct, and to ensure that they get completed. Yeah, there will not be a test in that class. So I hope that I answered your question there.
What I meant about the presentation, how would that take place and when they are online? Would they do it would they have to go to campus for the presentation, or would they do it online?
Okay, so yeah, and we'll get to this more as the night goes on, but there's no question that throughout the year that there is going to be projects, assessments that are going to necessitate that a student may have to come on campus. We are going to make sure that we have every safeguard in place, that when a student does have to come on campus, that they are protected, that they feel safe, and that we can obviously get the requirements met for IB. So yes, in some cases, we will have to have kids come on campus. We may have to offer some, flexibility with our teachers, as we may have to do some mornings, some afternoons. I don't want to put this on any teacher, but some teachers may offer to do some things on a weekend. So we are gonna, we will make sure that kids receive an opportunity to do it in a safe fashion. And again, not all components or assessments or projects will have to be done on campus. So if we can do it in an e-learning fashion, we are going to absolutely make sure that our kids have that chance. Did I answer your question? Ms. Lopez, are you still there?
Yes, can you hear me? I say thank you. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
So Matt, before we go to the next question, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I apologize for not necessarily covering that with my description of e-learning. One of the other things that was mentioned by the district leadership when they talked about the format of e-learning is there will be times where students who are in an e-learning class will be expected to come to campus to complete some of the requirements. And a good example would be if they're in a science class and they need to participate in a lab that can't be simulated either at home or virtually, they might need to come to campus for that lab. And if that does occur, and in IB Chem that would definitely occur, we will, make sure that either we do it at a time where there aren't other students on campus necessarily, or if there were, that we would make sure that the student entering campus could enter at a different location, and not be exposed to any other students and staff and stuff like that. We, take all kinds of precautions. But there will probably be some times where students who are involved in e-learning for a major project or something that, they need to physically be on campus for, they might be required to be on campus. And that is something the district leadership did share when they brought that to the board for approval. So I don't think it's going to happen very often, just in certain cases, there's something that, you have to do in person, and those would be those things.
Thank you, Doctor. Okay, so we're going to go to the next person on my list here, which is Lorena Hill. If you will unmute your mic and ask your question, please.
Hi. Yeah, my question is about transportation. I have reached out to school district services as well as Mr. Lucky, and what he has told me is that so far, that this was like a week and a half ago, they only have 4 families signed up for the bus, and they needed 25 families to get a bus running. Have you heard about it? Do you know anything about it? Or do you know anything about carpooling?
Dr. Rendell, you want to take that one?
I'll start. So for those that don't know, in case you missed it, back in June, earlier in the summer, the school district decided to discontinue the practice of the regional busing. So there will not be any regional busing provided by the district to choice programs this year. There will not. And so the Mr. Lucky that the parent referred to is a gentleman who runs a transportation company in the area, and he is willing to provide transportation if a certain number of families to certain schools sign up and pay a small fee and that kind of thing. I do know that some of our parents are trying to organize carpools and things like that. So I don't know, Matt, if you want to ask if either one of the ABCs is willing to jump on and talk about that. But, that is something that I've talked to several families who were kind of going to rely on the regional busing. And since that's been removed, they're choosing e-learning as their way to access our courses, on our campus, not even necessarily as a health and safety issue, but the fact that, hey, I can access these classes through e-learning, without transportation. So Matt, I don't know if you want to see if one of the ABCs want to jump in.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything too much, or put anything on the ladies, but ladies, if you have anything to add there, that would be great. I know that we can't say too much, but we've been trying to get some things rolling. So maybe you guys want to add anything to that? If you do, you have to unmute
Mr.
your
Kellum?
mic. Sorry.
Yep.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey there, Mr. Kellum. This is Kim. We do have a Facebook page out there, and I was just trying to wait to see if there was any more details that we could post out on the page that then could be useful for parents. The only other thing that we certainly could put out there is some type of a survey feedback to collect parent contact information for those who would like to coordinate carpooling, and then we could disseminate that information accordingly.
Thank you. And I think this is a great opportunity, as we have 149 people currently on this meeting. This is a great opportunity if you are in need of transportation, or you're having issues with the transportation, reach out to me, email me, and I will make sure that the ladies get a chance to review that. And we will do some coordinating to try to help everybody out, because we certainly want to make sure that everybody has a chance to get to campus if possible. So we appreciate that.
What is the Facebook page?
Kim, do you want to take that?
Yep. Was just unmuting again. And of course, you're going to put me on the spot, and I'm almost certain it is Cocoa Beach ABC. .com, but let me pull up the address. Isn't that horrible? I don't know it off the top of my head.
So just to give some other people a little bit of history, the ABCs, we affectionately refer to them, that's the Academic Booster Club, ABC, Academic Booster Club. And years ago, that club was formed as the IB Booster Club. And I believe one of the original intents of that club was to raise money for transportation when the district moved the choice busing at an earlier time. But it's a group of parents that have organized some different things to support not just IB students, but also all of the students here at Cocoa Beach. So, I mean, I think if you get on Facebook and you do, again, Cocoa Beach ABC.
Sorry, Dr. Rendell.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, CB, capital C, capital B, space, then A is in apple, B is in boy, --club. So CB for Cocoa Beach, space AB -club.
Thank you.
But again, if you need transportation, you live out of zone, email Matt, and then he'll get your information to the people who are looking at that.
Thank you, guys, and that's a great opportunity to get this started. So glad the question was asked. Ms. Hill, did we answer your question there?
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so if we can go to the next person on my list here, Nerissa Johnson. I hope I said that correctly. If you'll unmute.
Yeah, it's Nerissa. Sorry, that's a hard one. I just wanted to know if we needed to have our intent submitted by this Friday, as far as if our children are going to be e-learning for the first semester, or obviously if they're going on campus, it would just be assumed if we don't indicate that they'll be attending on campus.
Yeah, so technically the default, if someone did not respond to the survey, technically the default would be, well, we're just assuming that you're going to come in person. But we're actually going to try to reach out to everybody who doesn't complete the survey one way or the other. It would be nice, though, if you did respond to the survey by Friday or, even next week. I don't want to say the survey is going to be open, but it might be. But just to let us know e-learning so we can kind of prepare for how many students are e-learning and how many are actually going to be, here on campus walking the halls. But yeah, if you could, that would be great. If not, we're probably going to reach out to you at some point.
Is the survey accessible on your website, or was it something we needed to receive by email?
Yeah, actually, it is on the website now. If you go to the website, there's a kind of a graphic that says, let us know your intent. I can't pull up the email right now. I mean, the website right now. But yeah, you can get on our Cocoa Beach Junior Senior High School website that you access through Brevard Public Schools, and it's right there. If you click on the bottom of the picture, the survey will come right up.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on. John Berard, if you will unmute your mic and ask your question, please.
Hi. So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, you're good. We couldn't change the name. I had a few questions, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, the first one is just confirmation because we think we got it. We're going to be doing e-learning, but if that ends up not working out, we're going to go in person. Should we just click the e-learning option?
Yes, go ahead. Your first choice right now is e-learning, so that's what you would put in the survey. And then if anytime you decide, you know what, we want to go in person, then you just notify your guidance counselor.
Okay, sounds good. And then the second one was with IB students, we're also going to be having an extra 8th class, right?
Correct. All of our students are going to get an extra class.
Okay. Would we be able to email someone specifically, either guidance counselor or Kellum or whoever you'd prefer, to try and help organize our schedules with the preferred block of the classes?
So reach out to the guidance counselor, and we're almost finished with the master schedule. So they would be able to tell you in a few days, I'm sure, exactly what schedule is your son or daughter has already, and then you could kind of review that and see if you feel like there need to be changes made to that or anything. Students don't necessarily have to ask for a now ask for an 8th class if they gave us enough elective choices last spring when we were registering. And the counselors right now, what they're trying to do is reach out to any student who did give us enough selection so they can kind of fill those in. But again, the guidance counselor can answer those questions.
Yeah, we did reach out to her, so I just wanted to double check. Just 2 more. When school does come around, and since we're doing e-learning, would it be best to reach out personally to the teachers about their requirements for that?
Yeah, great question. Actually, I was on a call with the other middle school and high school principals today. More than likely what we're going to do, and this is for all the teachers' benefits as well because it's new information, is we're going to kind of launch some sort of practice experience for all the students who are participating in e-learning, especially if their entire day is e-learning, especially if you're coming into the building new as like a 7th grader and you're choosing e-learning. You don't have any kind of reference or relationship here yet. So sometime in those 2 weeks before school starts, there might be a practice login day. And, not necessarily that the teachers would participate, but there would be, an opportunity for all of the e-learning students to participate. Now, having said that, as far as each individual teacher's requirements and those types of things, you'll be getting that information either on the first day of class or before then, if we're able to provide a way for the teachers to communicate with their classes prior to that. But more than likely on the first day of class, you would normally in person.
Okay, thank you. That's perfect. And the last one, I promise, is we wanted to join into a club that my daughter is not pre-existing in, and she was looking to like be active in it and possibly hold a position, would we be able, are the clubs going to continue, or are there going to be specific times to come that could be dealt with?
Yeah, so definitely clubs are going to continue, but they're probably going to continue virtually. And even for the students who are here on campus, a lot of the activities, well, not activities necessarily, but a lot of the meetings are going to be virtual. So, because we still can't put, large numbers of people close together and all that kind of thing. So, once we get the year open, we'll start making announcements about different clubs and organizations and when they meet. And again, it'll be similar to how we're going to conduct classes. There might be a meeting in Mr. Carpenter's room after school for students who are interested in a certain club, SGA or something like that. And then for the students who are remote, who still want to participate, they could log in at a certain time and participate. We are going to have to hold class elections and things like that. We didn't get to hold class elections for student government last spring. So we're going to need to do that pretty quick, because we don't only do we have to, nominate the incoming class officers, but the returning class officers. So we're going to try to have as normal a experience for these kids as we can through these different platforms.
Okay, thank you. That's perfect. And the elections will be the virtual meeting, or will they be separate?
It'll depend. I'm sure for STA, for example, I'm sure Mr. Carpenter and Ms. Papetti will come up with a way for all that to happen. We're going to have to do a really good job of communicating with all of the students on the different platforms to make sure they don't miss out on that kind of information. But word will come out after we get things going.
All right, thank you. That answers everything then.
Thank you for the questions. Okay, so if I can move on, I believe the next person is Chris Winslet. If you will unmute your mic and ask your question.
Hi, I was wondering how IB and AP chemistry was going to work this year, if Dr. McCord was still teaching the class, and if there was going to be a zero period.
It's a great question. We were kind of wondering when that question was going to come up tonight. So I'll tell you what I know today. Dr. McCord retired. Dr. McCord retired over a month ago. And it's a personal family issue. It has nothing to do with the school or anything like that. Those of us that have known Dr. McCord over the years know that, that certainly is a loss. He is one of a kind and that kind of thing. So we will have AP IB Chem. And the way we have it set in the schedule to work right now is that it's going to be first block. It doesn't need to be, we don't need a zero period, because now with the 90-minute block, we have the 90 minutes that we need. So it doesn't need to be a zero period, but instead it's going to be first block, first and second semester. So theoretically on your schedule, you would see AP Chem one semester, IB Chem the other, but it's the same class all year long, first block. That'll give us all the time we need to, get into the curriculum in a deep manner, and also conduct all the experiments and everything. And right now, Mr. Mardoulier is scheduled to teach that class.
Ms. Winslet,
is there still going to be a zero period?
No.
Well, not for chemistry, but for other classes?
Another really good question. We may offer a couple of zero periods for some other questions. In reality, the need for zero period is not as strong, because now you can take 8, and zero period was really needed if we had a special class that you couldn't necessarily get into your schedule. Well, now you've got an extra block or period in your schedule, but we still are looking at a couple other options where we might need zero period. So depending on what those are, if you're affected, then you'll know about it, that kind of thing. And if you're looking for a certain class to be offered at a certain time, just let us, talk to your guidance counselor, and we'll tell you whether it's being offered at that time.
Just on a side, I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right. Who is our guidance counselor for seniors?
Another good question. Her name is Melissa Haley. She's a new counselor. She is here. She's been working for a couple weeks already. She was trained up pretty well by Miss Carr and Miss Mackin, so she knows what's going on. And her first name is Melissa, and last name Haley. If you call the school here, you can get to her, and you can email her. I think her email's even on the website now.
Okay, thank you so much. And then I also had a question about TOK. Is TOK going to be all year round? And also, how is CAS going to work this year?
Mr. Kellum, I'll let you talk about that.
Okay. So yes, we are looking at doing a year-round TOK class. We are currently trying to coordinate that to prevent or to provide some relief and some help for our students. And we think that we'll have an option there, which will allow us to kind of benefit our kids going forward, to prepare for tests, prepare for IAs and the such. So TOK is going to be a year-long class going forward. As far as CAS is obviously something that is a requirement by IB. It is obviously something that we're going to have to monitor, as it is difficult right now to get out and be around other people and to volunteer and the such. We will continue to talk to IB about whether there's any changes, but we are, as of right now, we are going to continue to mandate it. We will have to work with different organizations and the such to find opportunities for our kids. But it is tied to a big component of our IB, an IB diploma and the reward of a Bright Future Scholarship. So, it's something that we want to continue to require. We know Bright Futures is very important to our students and families, and we will find every opportunity we can to continue to, provide those opportunities to our kids. Hopefully, I answered that question.
Yes, that was all. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to jump in, Mr. Kellum, and you really didn't show enough enthusiasm about the TOK answer, to be honest. Last year, one of the things we talked about with a lot of folks was trying to find a way to provide some support and relief for the junior and senior IB students. The DP years are the overload years, and TOK was kind of one of those little oases in the desert, one of those places for them to take a breath and concentrate on all the different requirements that they have with IB. And so with the district switching to this 4x4 block, giving us an optional 8th class, we look at that as an opportunity for TOK to go first and second semester. And we think for the juniors especially, but also the seniors, this is going to be a really big benefit. They're going to be able to use that time in TOK to really concentrate on all their IB requirements. And everybody that we've talked to is pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be a real benefit for the juniors and seniors in the DP program or taking the classes, because that's a pretty strenuous workload already. And I know that when you say, oh, we have an option for another 8th class, most of these high achievers are going to go try and find another class to add to their resume. And I think pushing TOK into that 8th slot, so they'll have TOK first and second semester with Mr. Walters. And keep in mind now, Mr. Kellum's not taking any classes, so he'll be able to be in there too. You'll have so much support your junior and senior year through TOK if we do it again next year in this format. But at least this year, I really think that's a huge positive. And I don't know that Mr. Kellum showed enough enthusiasm about that.
I just wasn't ready to spill all the beans yet. I was just waiting for the right moment to kind of unveil. It's kind of it's like the icing on the cake we have, for tonight. So, but yes, it's something that we feel really awesome about. We are excited. We've, in talking to some of our parents, we've identified that we believe that one of the things going forward that we would like to provide to our kids is some more time in their day to be able to work on assignments, to be able to work on things like IAs. With this new school year, and asking a student to, to basically finish a course within a semester, that also means that an IA kind of needs to be done within that semester, which just cannot be done. So we believe this is going to provide opportunities across the board that are going to be beneficial to our kids. And we know that it's something that our parents have looked for, and we believe that this gives us a chance to really provide an opportunity to our kids, which we think is going to be tremendously beneficial. ABCs, would you like to jump in on that at all? If you do, you have to unmute your mic.
I did unmute. Sorry, you're catching us off guard on that one, Mr. Kellum. I think you summed it up pretty well. That's okay. Okay.
Well, just going forward, it's something that, as we enter the new school year, we just want to make sure that every student has that opportunity. And we believe that we've given the opportunity through this TOK / I think what we're going to call it kind of a research course. But again, I think it's going to be awesome for our kids. And I really think our kids will find it to be tremendously beneficial. Are we good there? You guys want to move on now?
So just before we jump away, I did see over in the comment section a question, what is TOK? So we do have some MYP parents and students, I'm sure, on the call tonight. So if you could take a minute just to explain TOK, your knowledge,
Absolutely.
what it is. Yep.
So yes, and actually I saw that, and I was to say something in regards to that anyways. So yes, TOK is a course that is offered during the diploma years, 11th and 12th grade. It is kind of tied into what we call the core. It's a class that is basically made to help the students learn and be more creative in mind as how they are learners. I don't want to call it a philosophy-based class. It's not really that, but it does absolutely tie in to some philosophical mindsets and the such. We also utilize it as a course in which a lot of our two major components for the IB diploma are tackled through that class. One being the extended essay. Well, actually, I should say three components. But the extended essay, which is a paper that all students must complete during the DP years. It is assessed by IB and is a part of their overall point total of 24 points. We also do the TOK essay, which is a major requirement for the program. And as well, we run all of our community service hours through that class. So it's a massive part of our overall program. And as we go forward, we obviously want to emphasize the importance of it and, again, utilize it in a way to benefit our kids. Hopefully that answered that question.
Mr. Kellum, this is Rose Abariotakis.
Hey there.
Hey, I just wanted to add on, the TOK is definitely a really big plus for especially the seniors this year, with all the testing that's going to be going on and all the projects that they're doing this year. I think it's an added value. So I think that's a great move, having the TOK.
Well, again, thank you for that. And, that goes back to us, wanting to hear, the ideas, what's from our parents. And we're trying to be mindful of what can help our kids. And we know some of the things that the parents and the students want. And we believe this is a big one that will help our kids and as well as our teachers. It's not just the kids, but it's also, I think, going to be helpful for our teachers. So, again, I think it's going to be a really huge thing. Anybody else want to add anything to that? Okay, thank you. We'll move on. Miss Whalen, I believe you're next. Can you unmute your mic and ask your question, please?
Yes, I had a question just for clarification. So if you choose the combination of e-learning and on campus, you have to select specific classes that the your student will do e-learning and specific classes they would be in person?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, once you get the student schedule, I think that's when you would say, okay, well, these are the ones we want to come to campus for. These are the ones we want to do e-learning.
So it's not that they could go to campus for all of their classes for like 1 day a week and do e-learning the rest?
Correct. The district is not, that's not how the district or the state, to be honest, envision this model to work. If you choose e-learning, then we expect you to be in that model, that platform, for that class for an extended period of time. Now you can switch from one platform, so to speak, to the other, once or twice a semester, but it can't really be a thing where today I want to go to school, tomorrow I want to stay home. And part of it is, I think I've explained a couple of times to some other people, is, we want the students to get into a rhythm of, how they're handling these classes, how they're set up, to learn, in this format. And then same thing with the teachers, to be able to get into a rhythm of, I know how many students I have in front of me in person, and I know how many I have in e-learning in this class, and, so they can structure it that way. And, and then, the health and safety part of it is, with the kids that we have on campus every day, we're going to be, trying to, institute some protocols and safety procedures, and we want those to be consistent. And if kids are, not here every day, we're not necessarily, going to have to be educating every day about, well, this is how we do this and this is how we do that. So the format in its intent is that you choose one platform for that class, and really for at least the 9 weeks, or, the intent is the semester. But if at any time you don't think the format's working, then you can switch, but it's not a daily or weekly thing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, guys. As we move forward, Douglas Willard, if
Hello? Hey there. I had a
can ask your question.
Okay. I was wondering how are the 10th grade independent projects being handled?
Okay, so I'll take this one. So that is something that is a requirement of the 10th grade year. So just so everybody understands, the personal project is a requirement for 10th grade. It's kind of a culmination of the MYP, the middle years. I got to be careful with my acronyms. I'll try to use the real words, but yeah, during our middle years program, it is the culmination of the 10th grade year. It's a year-long project that every kid is required to do. It is sent to IB, and it is assessed through IB. So what we're working on that. We are, but I think we kind of have a good feel as to how we're going to implement that this year. So we are going to be looking for a class, which we have several on campus, that has every one of our 10th grade students within the course. I personally will be going into that course, and I will be teaching all the students the personal project and making sure that every student feels comfortable with what needs to get done. Of course, it is done with supervisors. So we will be immediately, as we return to school, we will be immediately reaching out for supervisors with our teachers, and trying to make sure that all of our students have a supervisor going forward. And then, of course, we're going to have to utilize, as the year goes on, we'll have to utilize, some creative and some flexible situations where we may have to have some kids come in and meet with teachers personally, or during a class period, we may take a small block and kind of reinforce the personal project. But it is a project that is typically and kind of done mostly by the student, with some guidance by, of course, the program and the supervisor. So we do believe we can achieve that, and we believe that we will do everything we can to get that done.
So did I hear you? This is a separate course you're going to have, and you're going to be the instructor?
No. It will not be a separate course. It will be, I will take a day within our school day within one of the courses that we offer. Let's say it's English, or let's just say it's maybe like AP government, and I will take a period of time to go over so that every student in the 10th grade would receive that lesson, that instruction. It will not be a separate course. It will just be done through one of our other courses, as they will then probably take over and give their lesson after I'm done.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your question. Okay. Eduardo Alvarecian. I hope I didn't butcher that too bad.
Hey, that's
You'll
okay.
unmute your mic.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. For those, for the kids attending the 90-minute classes, will there be breaks, either for e-learning or the ones going to campus?
So no breaks, i.e. that you would leave the classroom for, or anything like that. One of the things that's going to be a little bit difficult about the format, in person even, is that most of the literature about teaching in the block format, and because I've worked a couple of different schools that use the 90-minute block, one of the suggestions and the best practices is that you break the 90-minute block up into 3 segments, not necessarily 3 30-minute segments, but into at least 3 separate types of learning activities. So you don't necessarily want the students sitting and taking notes for 90 minutes or reading silently for 90 minutes or that kind of thing. So there needs to be, the research says 3 separate learning activities. It could be 40 minutes, 20, and then whatever is left over, that kind of thing. But so the challenge right now for the in-person class, and so the teachers listening, I'm sure, are chuckling, is the guidelines from the district so far in how we teach the in-person classes is that the students are spread out as much as we can in the classroom, that all the desks are facing the front of the room, and that we limit group or partner activity to only necessary activities, such as maybe a science lab. But there won't be as much group activity or turn and talk with your partner kind of thing as there was before. So there is going to be a bit of a challenge as to how do you break up the class into different segments of learning activities when there are some restrictions. But there are different things you can do, and they'll be doing those different things. People have asked me, so if my son or daughter is e-learning and they're sitting in front of the computer for 90 minutes, they're going to have to sit in front of the computer for 90 minutes. They can't move. Well, there probably will be times in the 90 minutes in the class period where the instructor in the room, in the classroom here on campus, is giving the students, individual work to do and that kind of thing. The same thing for, your student at home would be doing individual work. So that would, be their opportunity to run to the bathroom, get a drink, get up, stretch, walk around, that kind of stuff. And then theoretically, if they were, following the schedule to the strictest minute, obviously in the class change periods, they would have time to take a breather. But we're not going to have organized breaks where we would go outside of the classroom or anything like that, because again, in the health and safety situation that we're in, we need to kind of stay stable.
Thank you. And one last question is, what platform will the kids will be using? I noticed that some hackers or whoever is going into this meeting, and I was wondering if that could possibly happen while they're in school as well.
Yeah, so the district has looked at a couple different learning platforms. The Google Suite, they've explored that pretty well. And so our teachers are actually going to be given some training in the 2 weeks prior to school opening on how to use the different aspects of Google. Suite, Google Classroom, Google Hangouts, Google Chats, Google Meet, those different components. And so that's one of the platforms that can be used. The district's actually in negotiations with Zoom. Zoom has actually done a lot of work in upping their security game, and it looks pretty robust. And so Zoom may be a platform. This is Microsoft Teams, and I don't want to guarantee, but I would imagine that someone more familiar with Teams than Mr. Kellum, myself, or even Mr. Ryan, who set up this meeting, could probably have put in some stricter controls on that. But I think those are the three main ones that we'll probably be using is the suite of Google products, which a lot of our teachers and students are familiar with, especially last year when we closed out the year. A lot of us were using Google products, the Google Classroom to get things done. And then again, Zoom might be on the table with some beefed up security, and then this Microsoft platform. Skype will also be available, but I believe the district's kind of phasing out its contract with Skype, so I don't know how much free usage we would have with that.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Thank you, guys. So let me go back. Sorry, I'm trying to monitor one of our guests here right now, as I don't know that he or she should be a part of the meeting. Okay, so I believe our next person is Monica Knight. If you will unmute your mic and ask your question, please.
Good evening, everyone. Let me begin by thanking you all for setting this up for us. We really appreciate it. A couple of questions. The first one is, what % of students are going to be in class? What your numbers look like now? And I actually have several, so I'll just stop right there.
Okay, so of the responses we've received so far, it's about 50% in person. It's actually 48, so 48% in person. If that holds true, I mean, this is, we have almost 400 responses, which is actually very good for, we have about 1,000 students, 950. So, we're almost to halfway already. And so if that holds true, then half of the amount of normal students would be on campus. Now, that doesn't guarantee that every class would only have half the number of kids in it, because for some reason, everybody in that class might be there, and then everybody in another class might be e-learning. We'll try to balance some of those. That's another reason why we're asking people to make their selections, as we build the master schedule. But right now, about half.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rendell. I think you're doing an excellent job preparing, and my kids will be coming back face to face. My next question is, has there been a posted registration date, and is it possible to do online counseling meetings? I have a 10th grader and a rising 7th grader. I can't seem to figure out whether or not I should be talking to my counselor or my IB coordinator.
All right, so I'll handle the first part of that. The registration dates, everybody can write this down if they want, but we'll be getting another one of those famous emails soon. It's going to be August 11th, 12th, and 13th, and we're doing them in the afternoons, and we're trying to do them kind of by grade level. If you can't come on the date the grade level is supposed to come, you can come a different date. But August 11th, the afternoon of August 11th, Tuesday, August 11th, is for juniors and seniors. And that's from 12:30 to 4. So the afternoon actually might be 12:30 to 3:30, but either way, the afternoon of August 11th is juniors and seniors. The afternoon of August 12th is 9th and 10th graders, freshmen and sophomores. Again, 12:30, I think, to 3:30 is the time frame we're going to use. And then Wednesday, the 13th, would be 7th and 8th grade. And you don't have to come, if you have more than one student, you don't have to come more than one day. You can come just on the one day. We are going to do it in a drive-through format, similar to how we collected everything at the end of last year. And so you'll stop at each station, and if you haven't turned in your registration packet, you can turn it in then. If we have information to give to you, we'll give it to you then. The only fees that we're going to be collecting is the standard $5 fee for the planner, because we actually have planners this year, like we normally do. They don't have the right bell schedule in them anymore, but and then the $2 activity fee. So $5 you get the planner and the activity pays for the activity fee. And then parking, if you're getting a parking pass, and there might be one other station where there'd be money exchange, but you'll get a list of all that. And then one of the last stations will be a counselor's, well, a station where you get the schedule. And then if you want to set up counseling appointments after that, you'll have to pull over to a different spot, and then we'll schedule a virtual meeting with the counselor. I think that kind of handles it. And Mr. Kellum, I think there was a question for you about whether they talk to you or they talk to a counselor.
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? I was dealing with some kids or somebody who was trying to.
No problem. No problem. Been there, done that. Okay, no problem. My question was really, should I be focusing my schedule conversation with the IB coordinator, which is you, or my child's guidance counselor? I just haven't figured that out yet. I have a 7th and a 10th grader.
Well, so yeah, anytime a question involves IB at either level, I need to be a part of it. Sometimes it may just be a situation where the counselors may be able to make a change, or need to can just do something. But I would always like to be involved. So if you start with me, I'll direct it to them, or if you'll CC me on it, that gives me a chance to to make comments or to just advise if I need to. So yeah, always direct it to me. But yeah, sometimes we'll just get the counselors involved in order to get something resolved.
Perfect. I sent you an email today. So this is a summary of that question, which is about when you take a semester 4-block course, it's really 2 days worth of instruction every day because you're finishing the course within the semester. So my question is about a high-performing math student taking a math in the fall and taking it in the spring. Is that a possibility? And then my second part of that is, how are we working through with the Spanish 4 and Spanish 5? Are we trying to fit that in both semesters? I just have an apprehension about my children having an entire semester without a math, without a foreign language. But I did hear your explanation of the AB-IB chemistry. And so I'm just wondering, is there any possibility to do a mini, or can we do a 0 period? How can you alleviate my angst about a kid taking a class in the fall and nothing in that academic area in the spring, or vice versa?
Dr. Rendell, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start with that. That is a reality of the 4x4 block. It's going to happen with certain subject areas. With every subject area, it could happen. Depending on how the master schedule shakes out, you might be able to do math both semesters, if the sequencing is available. Same thing with foreign language, and there's anything really. If the 3rd level course is offered first semester and the 4th level course is offered second semester, then sure, you could do that. The 3 other high schools that I've worked at that have block, 2 of them on the 4x4, it's always the apprehension is, oh my gosh, my son or daughter can't go without this subject for more than one semester, one semester, miss a semester and then come back. And the kids are actually more resilient and can handle that break better than we think. And it's kind of how we do it a lot in college as well. But I would say just when you get the initial schedule, take a look at that and see how it's laid out. And then, schedule an appointment with the counselor to say, look, I'm concerned that, he's going to go a semester without math, or I'd like to see if we could do something different with foreign language, and then we'll see what we can work out. But that is, I'm not going to lie, it's part of how the 4x4 works. Is theoretically, you would take, a certain set of subjects one semester and then a certain set the next. Doesn't always work that way because we can double, set the courses back to back that work with each other. But that is something that does and will happen. But you can also then schedule around it.
Thank you. That covered the answer. So have you had any continued conversation about College Board or FSA assessments when a student takes English, say, in the fall, and then doesn't take it in the spring, and they have the state 10th grade ELA assessment, for example, or College Board AP test, and they didn't take anything in the spring?
So two parts to the answer to that question. So the College Board has never considered moving AP out of May. I made this comment last Thursday night. There's hundreds of schools that have been on the 4x4 block for almost 30 years, and the College Board will not put AP exams in November or December or anything like that. So that is just something that is not going to change. As far as the state assessments, if it's an EOC course, so say they take Algebra 1 first semester, then they will take the Algebra 1 EOC at the end of the semester. But the English Language Arts assessment, the FSA, for 8th, 9th, and 10th grade, for us, for 7th, 8th, and 9th, 10th graders, is offered in April, and that's when it's offered again. They don't put that in first semester for block schools. And there are block schools in Florida, not just Titusville, and not just in other states. So those assessments will stay where they're at. The FSA, the AP, the only thing that would go at the end of the semester is an EOC.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and you're doing a great job. Much appreciation. Thank you very much.
Sorry, guys. I muted everybody really quickly because I heard some. Just wanted to make sure. Anyways, we'll move on. Ms. Knight, did we answer your question there?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of your time. You're doing a great job.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Okay. So moving forward, Ms. Lopez, if you will unmute your mic and ask your question, please.
Yes, I had a question about the community hours for the IB program with the Bright Future Scholarship. How can we approach, because as you know, with COVID, there is not being that many community hours opportunity.
Yeah, so I touched on that a little bit earlier, and of course that's something that we're working on. It's something that as we are currently in the situation that we're going to have to work around. We're going to obviously reach out. I will say that we have met with a man last year who was with an organization known as Just Serve. He offers an app that can be downloaded on your cell phones, on your mobile devices, and it will provide information about all types of different community service opportunities, near and far. And we're going to have to look at some of those avenues as to find ways that and opportunities where maybe we don't have to sit face to face, but we can do it in other ways. We're going to have to be creative. But again, we do feel like the service hours are a big part of our program, and it's certainly not something that we are looking to, to remove or to not make our students fulfill that part of it. Because again, with Bright Futures, and as well, that's what IB really would like as part of its philosophy. They really want community involvement and that international mindedness. So, we will strive to continue to push forward with that. But again, we're going to have to find creative ways and opportunities that will allow us to get that done.
One more question. I know that you guys addressed already, and then probably didn't. I'm not sure if you answer it. In regards to the AP test that you're gonna have in May, are those going to be in person, or they're going to be able to do it online?
Dr. Rendell, do you want to take that one?
Which kind of test was it?
Was it AP or IB?
Both the IB and the AP test.
Well, I can just quickly answer from an IB point of view. That's a great question. We have not yet heard any changes that have been made by IB. I monitor that daily. So if any information comes out in regards to changes in assessments, we will absolutely let all of our parents and students know. As of right now, everything from IB's point of view will continue to be the same. Well, I should say go back to normal, I should say. But again, as the school year unfolds, that may change. And as it does, we will certainly keep you guys abreast.
Yeah, again, same thing with AP. There's no word from them whether they'll go back to in-person assessment or online only like last year, or a combination, a choice. No word yet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Zenaida, if you will unmute your mic and go ahead and ask your question, please.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. All the teachers, I see a lot of teachers online as well. So I have a couple of questions. Let me start with what I think are the easy ones. So how will you all communicate all the changes and kind of the instructions to all the students?
Well, I don't know necessarily which changes, and all the things that we're going to do leading up to the opening of school will be communicated kind of in these mass emails that we're using, and then also information handed out and distributed at registration. And then, of course, obviously, once we start class, information will be distributed through, first block, second block, or third or fourth block. We actually have homeroom on the schedule this year. Friday afternoon, we'll have homeroom. Even the e-learning kids will be placed in a homeroom, and we'll be doing a lot of information sharing through the homeroom on Friday afternoon. But as far as how these things are happening as we get ready to open the year, it's this format. It's the emails, the mass emails, announcements on the website, the different communication tools that we've used so far.
Okay, I just wanted clarification because I know I've been getting the emails, so thank you very much. I just didn't know if the students were getting any emails, or for those that are interested and actually want to be proactive. My next question was about, I guess, courses. I know you've explained about the 4 blocks, the TOK being year long, so forth. So if students are taking other classes through Florida Virtual School, for example, not as a full-time student, but as a flexible student, are they allowed? I thought I heard in one of the other group meetings that there was a maximum load, or there was some conflict. Maybe I misunderstood about how many courses they could actually take.
Yeah, so there is, through dual enrollment or any of the other options, such as Florida Virtual, if you're taking a full load with us, so to speak, or a half load with us or a 3/4 load with us, and then you're going to add some courses through those other platforms or through dual enrollment, there is a limit. And there's no easy way for me to explain. There is no easy formula. It's more like you sit down with the guidance counselor and say, we want to take this, this, and this with Cocoa Beach, either online or either e-learning or in person. And then we'd like to try to take this class with dual enrollment. And then we just have to add it up and see if you're within. You can go pretty far. The ceiling's pretty high, but there is a limit.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like you can only take, your 4 classes at Cocoa Beach in whatever format, virtual or real. And because we've gone to this, temporary COVID emergency situation, you weren't going to be allowed to take any additional classes through any of these other means. So I hear you loud and clear. Talk to the guidance counselor. And I think I have, the other easy question. For the personal projects that were completed last year, when would those scores be coming back? Do you have any idea?
I do. So actually they are released. I believe the date is August 1st. I have been looking into the scores of the personal projects. They are not out yet. And as soon as they are released, I will be getting that to all of our students so that they know what their scores were from this past year.
Okay, and I've got a very interested high schooler that wants to ask one more question. So, go ahead.
Hi. So I'm going to be a junior this year, and I was very curious about how you guys were doing the TOK over the entire year, because my understanding was that we were going to be able to select an 8th class to take. So with that year-long TOK, are we going to have to take it both junior and senior year, or how is that going to work if we want to take an additional class?
Well, can I just start really quick, because I would like to throw something out to all of our parents and all of our students before we answer the rest of that question. Is, it's difficult for us to project what is going to occur next year, and so I want our students and our parents to be thoughtful of that. As that we need to plan for this year and make sure that we are hitting those requirements for this year. We don't know what's going to happen next year. We believe that it will likely be back on a normal 7-period schedule. And so I don't want to go predicting what's going to happen between this year and next year, as we just are unsure how things will unfold. But with that being said, I think we still have to, Dr. Rendell, do you want to answer that as far as the selection of the course, or would you like me to take that one?
I'll let you take a shot at it.
Okay. So, when it comes to the courses that we're offering, of course, we're trying to provide our students with an opportunity to benefit them. If your schedule, or if an individual's schedule may not allow for that extra TOK class, we will work with that on an individual basis with our parent and our student to ensure that student is able to meet all the requirements of IB. We certainly do not want to penalize a student or hurt a student's opportunity to get their diploma due to the circumstances that we are currently in. So if in that 8-period day, maybe the TOK class doesn't work, we will work with each individual student because we do know that there are some kids that have unique situations. So hopefully that answered that question. Dr. Rendell, add anything?
Well, more than likely, what I would do is shy away from giving up the second TOK and look at if the additional class, if the 8th class is that valuable, then look at one of those other options that was just talked about, either a 0-period or an additional class with Florida Virtual, Brevard Virtual, or dual enrollment. I think I don't want to speak for all of the rising seniors, but I think, that they will tell you that junior year is tough enough. If you can get TOK for 90 minutes for the year, you would probably want that. And, you'll have enough work to do in those other classes without looking for more.
Okay,
but we can accommodate that if you want.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And also, just as a point, Zaneta, you brought up a great point, and I will obviously make sure that I start to include some of our students in that interaction. Again, a lot of our kids are wanting to know information. That's a great point. So I'll mark that down, and I appreciate that. Okay. Going forward, Mr. Carpenter, if you will unmute and if you would ask your question, please.
Good evening, everybody. What a neat thing to be able to hear and see everybody. And speaking, at least for me, I'm excited about seeing some 7th graders, either live and in person or virtually. I wanted to speak to a long time ago when we were talking about SGA and clubs, that we have been using a application called Voting for Schools. And we pay for it, but anybody in the school can use it. So as far as any kind of elections or things similar to that, we'd be happy to make that available. And as far as CAS hours go, one of the easiest ways that I think is safe to do is when we do the beach cleanups. That's socially distant, and we're always Mr. Mardoulier always puts those together, and hopefully that's at least one idea. And of course, depending if working for teachers is also another option. While it's not as community minded, I sure do appreciate it. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so I'm sorry, I was dealing with a situation there for a second. Mr. Carpenter, we're good. We're going to move forward. Mr. Berard, if you would, or John Berard, if you would again ask your question.
Sorry, wrong button. So you answered a few of my questions already, but you stated that EOCs would be able to be taken after first semester. I believe in the last call you mentioned that IB, due to the worldwideness of it, that they do have tests that could be taken after first semester. Will we be using those as well?
Okay, so I'll jump in on this one. That's a great question, actually. Actually, the November testing is a model that is used by the Southern Hemisphere. It is not a model that is typically used by other parts of the world, and it is due to the fact of when they start and when they end their school year. We would not like to offer, and when I say we would not like to, of course, we would have to work with our students individually, but as a practice, we are going to continue to offer those exams in May because of several factors. One being the IA and being able to get an IA completed within the first, and really it's not even a semester, it would be before this semester would really traditionally end for us, but in November. But as well, can we get all the material taught from essentially August, September through November? So as it goes forward, we are not looking to offer exams in in November, unless that was a individualized need for a particular student.
Okay, so that sounds all right for the general thing, but we would possibly be able to contact you directly about that, per se, if our student did take it in the first semester, their IB classes, one, to get that over with.
Yeah, if you have an individual need, let me know, and we'll get together and we'll talk about if it's feasible or not, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question was, with the CAS hours for this upcoming year, my student's been doing some things for a shelter she volunteers for quite a lot over the summer. Would we, and we have documentation for it, of course, when the school year comes around and the program back, would we be able to use those hours to count?
Oh, absolutely. We don't want to hold any students back when it comes to the opportunities and the hours that they have served. So we're always willing to work with, the supervisors, the students. So yes, when we get back into the school year, as you may know, we use ManageBack to as a system to allow us to monitor our service and activities. And so we just want to make sure that that gets updated and that it gets accepted as, like we have done in the past. But yes, anything that has been done, needs to make sure that it gets to ManageBack and gets documented.
All right, thank you. That'll be the last question then.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Wow, our questions have quickly diminished. Okay, so I see, John Boone, if you will unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yeah, so my student is looking at the dual option where she's going to take some classes there and do some virtual classes. And so our understanding was, and I heard you talk about the master schedule, hopefully it'll be out next week. But the last we heard, Florida Virtual School enrollment has not pushed the way this has. You guys, is there a way to confirm that? And then is there going to be an issue if we do push into next week before we understand what her physical class schedule option is there on campus, so then we can do the dual enrollment with Florida Virtual for the other class?
Yeah, I think I would. Are you talking Florida Virtual or Brevard Virtual? Because Brevard Virtual is there. It's a franchise of Florida Virtual, so they offer the same coursework. Maybe not all of the same courses, but the same coursework, and they're more flexible with their enrollment dates. But if it's Florida Virtual, you don't want to miss the enrollment dates with them. They're not very flexible. So if you think there is going to be a Florida Virtual course or two in the schedule, then what I would do is get with a counselor as soon as possible and review that. We can at least look in and see what might be in their schedule right now, so you could make that decision. Because if it is definitely going to be Florida Virtual, you don't want to miss their deadlines.
Awesome. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, I think that does. I guess the only other question is there, we do have a question into the counselor, but haven't heard back yet. I don't know, should we just follow up again and kind of put that in the text body to make sure that we can get an answer back in the next couple of days, or how should we handle that?
Just shoot that email to me and we'll get some action.
Okay, thank you.
There it is. Thank you. Okay, moving forward, if we could get Chris Winslet to unmute and ask their question, please.
Hi, I have a question. I saw that Mr. Mardulier was online as well. So for the seniors, for their AP and IB chemistry class, my first question was, has he been able to talk to Dr. McCord to see what material was covered last year? And has Mr. Mardulier ever taught IB chemistry?
Okay, well, I'll jump in real quick because I don't want Jim to feel under the gun here. So yes, we have obviously just had a change at that position. We have been working as a team to make sure that we could replace a teacher that has been a part of the program for a long time and has obviously done a very nice job with his class. We believe that we have put an individual in that course that's going to be able to get the job done and get our kids to be successful on their IB exams and as well as on their internal assessments. I know that we will continue to work with Dr. McCord to ensure that this is a smooth transition. And as well, we will be getting Jim all the help necessary as well as the training necessary to ensure that he will be able to do the job that I know he would want to be able to do. So yes, as we make this transition, we're going to make sure that Mr. Mardulier has every opportunity to be successful in that course. I hope that answered that question.
Okay. And I see his text that he has taught AP chemistry, but not IB chemistry. All right. Thank you. That answers my question.
So I'm going to follow up on that
you.
just a little bit, Matt. I'm going to jump in a little bit. I do see that Mr. Mardulier did put in there again, yes, that he has taught AP Chem before, not IB, and he and Dr. McCord have been texting. Dr. McCord did tell me that he was not going to go away, so to speak. He, as most people who have any experience with him know, that he invests quite a bit in these kids. So he was, adamant that he was going to be there for the kids and for whoever was going to be teaching the classes. So he will be available to support, virtually and that kind of thing. He's definitely still a friend of the program, so to speak. So he will be a part of the deal as much as he can be a part of the deal. And we have great confidence in Mr. Mardulier and how he'll be able to pull the kids through. And I'm not concerned. And we've also reached out to some other schools and talked about how we can share materials and things. So, and I think it's going to be just fine.
Thank you, Dr. Rendell. Okay, so I just see one last hand up. Again, guys, if you have a question, please use that raise your hand function on the toolbar. But if I could ask, I don't want to guess, but Mr. Aurelio or M. Aurelio to unmute and ask their question, please.
Yes, hello. I'd just like to ask if there is a maximum limit as to how many students are able to physically enter the campus.
No, there is no maximum amount. The district hasn't said anything like that. And again, the state said we needed to be open for brick and mortar in-person teaching. And I would imagine if they were asked, the limit would be the normal limit of the school. I think that plan that we have in place, what the district put together so that you can come here in person, or you can still stay in these classes and participate through an electronic format through e-learning, has actually provided so far, if our survey results are accurate, has provided the relief, so to speak, that we would be looking for as far as space. You know, if half of our kids are actually here on campus and the other half taking classes, the same classes, through e-learning, then we're going to be able to physically distance or socially distance, whatever you want to call it, with the kids that are here. But no, there's no cap that I've been made aware of.
And one more question. Mr. Kellum, would you still be teaching IB psychology?
No, sir. I am not going to be teaching IB psychology. Miss, am I okay to let them know that, Dr. Rendell?
Yeah, absolutely. I had muted myself. Go ahead. Sure.
Okay. So yeah, going forward this upcoming school year, Ms. Juarez will be taking over IB psychology, and again, I will be working with her, on a daily basis to make sure that she feels comfortable to take over that course. I feel like, and I know who I'm talking with. So being that you were an SL student in my class last year, I feel like you have an absolutely great background to be successful this year, as well as all the other SL students. And I will be making sure personally that the material at the HL level is taught in a way that you obviously will be able to be successful. So again, we feel like that's a move that we feel good about, and that she'll do a great job, with the course, and we'll have all the help. She will have all the help necessary to make sure that she can be successful. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, our next person is Mr. Carpenter again. Mr. Carpenter, if you will unmute and ask your question.
Mr. Kellum, Johnny Jones has been on my video screen, at least, with his hand up for a long time, so I raised my hand for him.
Well, I do not see Johnny Jones's hand up, and that upsets me because I would have certainly loved to talk to Johnny Jones. So, Johnny Jones, can you hear me, buddy?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can, Mr. Kellum. Can you hear me?
I sure can. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Thanks for asking.
It's
glad to be
it's great to
back.
hear from you.
Okay, so I foremost have just two questions at the moment. So currently for sophomores, is there a recommended 8th class? Because for the DP students, there's the second semester of TOK being recommended. But for sophomores, are we recommending a particular class in general? Are we just letting students use it as an elective? Is it possible to use that as, I believe Monica Knight mentioned, as a way to do like 2 math classes in 1 year? So like pre-calc and then go to calc 1, all in the same year.
So
Dr. Rendell, you want me to take that? Go ahead.
I'll jump in at first. Basically, yes to all of the above. So you have an 8th class. If there's some acceleration you want to pursue and we can do it in the schedule, then you would have the ability to do that. We can talk about it, Matt. We actually were looking at a class. We talked to another block school that is IB, and they offer a class for sophomores that's kind of like TOK, for them to work on their sophomore responsibilities like personal projects. So we're exploring that. That might not be something we were able to put in place this year. If we stick with the 4x4 in the future, then it's something that we would look at. But really, it's going to come down to what your individual needs, wants are, and how we can best meet those. But there may be a possibility for a research period where that you could if you wanted to fill your 8th slot with that would help you. Mr. Kellum, anything to add?
I think you nailed it there. And again, I think the big thing that needs to be stated is that, Johnny, we will always look at each individual student and their personal needs to try to help them succeed and move forward in our program. So not every student is in a situation, especially through the MYP years, where they can really manipulate their schedule as much because of the requirements of MYP and IB. So if an individual student has a request, again, reach out to us. I can't promise that we can make those requests happen, but we certainly want to make sure our students feel comfortable and safe and are given the best opportunity to succeed. So, let us know what we can do, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome,
actually, I have
sir.
2 more questions at the moment.
Okay.
So, second one is, what is the situation with staying after school in a teacher's classroom? Like, for instance, Miss Savage used to offer math tutoring for kids who would need it, and so those who would be good at math would sort of show up and they'd stick around and help others with math. Or I know I went to Miss Wars's room for help with AP Human Geography. Is that still being allowed, or is there just a flat ban on it?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say I have to get back to you on that, because I remember reading language somewhere that prohibited anybody staying after, but I don't want to say that's for sure. So I'm gonna have to get back to everyone on that, and we'll make sure we make an announcement one way or the other, whether it's permitted or not. I imagine that was not accurate, because we're going to do whatever we can for kids to be successful. And if, holding some after school study sessions or tutoring sessions is what's best for kids, then we'll figure out a way to do it. So, but I did remember reading that somewhere, but it might have been in one of those national guidelines and stuff like that. So just wait for further word on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I don't want to, and I'll jump in real quickly. I don't want to speak for any one of our teachers, but in talking to some of our teachers, I know that our teachers are going to show major flexibility. So, we may be able to use this e-learning platform to an advantage, as some of our teachers may be able to provide help maybe through an e-learning platform or in other virtual ways. So, we're going to be utilizing things like ManageBack. We're going to try to be utilizing some other applications that may be able to allow teacher-student interaction, which is not so much face-to-face. So, as those things are provided to us, or as we find those avenues, we will certainly let all of our kids know.
Okay,
Johnny Jones?
thank you. Yes, one last question.
Absolutely. Okay, go ahead, buddy.
So, with math classes, there was a problem about some students running out of math classes if they're going at too fast a pace. Like, for instance, I'm going to be going into Calc 1 this year, my sophomore year, and there was a complication where I couldn't go any faster because then I wouldn't have a math class senior year. Is that still an issue, or because of all of the virtual options now available, would it be possible for me to take Calc 2 and then Calc 3 via the college or online somehow senior year?
Yeah, so your answer is correct in that there are plenty of other opportunities for acceleration.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had. And thank you again to Mr. Carpenter for raising your hand.
Johnny Jones, I apologize, my friend. I wish I would have seen that your hand was up. It just doesn't show on my screen. So as I mentioned that, if anybody else is trying to raise their hand, I'm only seeing 3 individuals right now, and I think Mr. Carpenter was one of them. So Jennifer Johnston and Suma, if there's other people, I don't see you, so maybe try to use that function again, or leave a message in the chat so I can address that. But again, thank you, Johnny and Mr. Carpenter, and we'll move forward. Jennifer Johnston, if you will unmute and ask your question, please.
Yes, thank you for first of all, thank you very much for having this. It's been very helpful, very informative. My question is just my concern with the block scheduling and with the advanced classes that the students are taking. Do you have any concerns about a teacher becoming ill or for any reason and needing to miss some time? Do you have any concerns about finding acceptable substitutes to take over the class, so that if a teacher needs to be gone even for just a week, that's like being out for 2 weeks with the block scheduling.
Yeah, I'll be 100%. Yep, I'll be 100% honest. That's a concern. I mean, I can't. I'm not going to shy away from that. I do know though that this staff is pretty special. So if we knew someone was going to be out for more than a couple of days, I imagine we would jump in there and try to make sure that the kids are provided with solid instruction. So I think we'll probably be more acutely aware of that than we have been in the past, knowing that each day is really 2 days. You know, a 90-minute block is 2 days worth of instruction. So, you know, but I can't tell you that, you know, that's not a concern.
That was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I just see one last. Oh, I had another one jump in, but Suma, if you will unmute your mic and go ahead and ask your question, please.
Hello, Dr. Rendell and Mr. Kellum. My question kind of goes along with Johnny Jones. I do realize that the 8th class would probably be chosen because the student last semester selected like 2 or 3 electives as a backup. And when we do get the master schedule, and let's say that, you know, the student wants to double up on math, how early would we need to contact the counselor? Like immediately, or could it be after the semester? What do you recommend? And also, I'd like to meet with a counselor and you probably, Mr. Kellum, probably to discuss like the senior year if the student does have to double up in math, some other options that we could do. I know you've worked well with us and we appreciate all of that.
Yeah, so I think the first part to the question is, how soon would you need to notify us? I think as soon as you get the schedule, if he has the appropriate math in first semester, then and you're thinking, well, let's take another math second semester, you don't necessarily have to rush to the counselor's office right then, because we have plenty of time to take a look at that. The only caveat to that is, though, was the 8th class one that was actually added in first semester, because we didn't build the master schedule in such a way that we built 7 periods and then we just added another 8th period like to everybody's schedule. You know, we put all 8 in and then let the computer do its magic kind of thing. So theoretically, that 3rd elective might be sitting in first semester. So I think as soon as you get a schedule, we probably need to take a look at it. And then if first semester is solid and it looks like second semester is where you'd want to make a switch, then that gives us some time.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, John Berard, if you will unmute your mic and ask your question, please. Okay, I think we may have lost John there. I'm going to go to the next person. Anna Vangari, if you will unmute your mic and ask your question, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi. Thanks for taking my question. So I heard from other parents that there was some issue because of the pandemic, that some of the IB seniors, the who graduated recently, had issue actually getting their diploma. I'm not sure what kind of issues they faced, but I heard something related to the extended essay or something else, which I'm not sure what it is, but have you came, probably you are aware of that. So I was wondering, are we if you can elaborate on that, and also if you can actually, are you planning to take any corrective, preventive actions for the future juniors and seniors?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I want to say, because I don't want it to be a mindset that we had an unsuccessful school year this year. In fact, I feel like we had a very successful year with our IB juniors and seniors. The numbers that we for our diploma rate are high. They're up in the 80% range, and we feel like with the current situation, that actually in the circumstances that a lot of our kids faced, we feel like our teachers and our students really did a really great job. There's no question that IB is taking a little bit of heat for this past school year and some of the results that were handed down. But I also want to suggest that, across the world, nobody really could have predicted that this was going to occur. And so it left every teacher and every student in a way scrambling to make sure that they had the necessary things in place to be able to still get a diploma. So with all that being said, there's no question that going into this school year, we are still uncertain as to how things may unfold. We do not know if we will go back to another situation where students will only turn in their internal assessments, which, real quick side note, I saw somebody ask that earlier. An IA is an internal assessment. Anyways, back to the conversation. So, we will make sure that that we have all the things in place so that we can make sure that our kids are going to get that diploma. And I, as a preventative, I will be working with the teachers to say, hey, listen, guys, we know with the situation that occurred last year, that we have to be proactive and really emphasize, not that they're not before, but we know that we have to emphasize, due to learning, the internal assessments moving forward. So we will absolutely be, and that's one of the reasons we are adding this TOK / I prefer to call it research class, so that we are giving our kids some more time to work on them. Again, we will be reiterating to them their importance, and each teacher will be focusing on them in a way that is going to allow that student and to ensure that student is successful. So as a preventative matter, that's absolutely what we'll be doing. And as well, we're going to continue to reach out to other high schools, to IB, and we're going to ask the question as to, to find the information so that we can make our kids successful. This is new to all of us. Everybody, administration down, is learning. And as the school year unfolds, we're going to make sure that our kids are successful. So I hope I answered that question there.
Yeah, you did. Thank you. I have one more question related to that. I also heard that, for some of the students, it costed their Bright Future scholarship because they couldn't get the diploma. I'm not sure what's the reasons behind it, but are you aware of that? And if that is the case, is it still the same issue with the internal assessment, or is it something else?
So the answer to that is that the Bright Future scholarship is based on successful completion of the IB diploma if the student wants a guaranteed 100% scholarship. By not getting their diploma does not necessarily remove them from the 100% scholarship. There are some other factors that are related to that, and one of them would be ACT or SAT scores. As well, if a student does not get their diploma, it's not that they don't get any other scholarship. Typically, what it does is it brings them down to, instead of the 100% scholarship, they're brought down to the 75% scholarship. So yes, I am aware. I am also aware that, again, for the majority of our kids, we did not see that as something that did occur. We know about it. We are going to continue to work with our kids to emphasize the importance of all assessments and to really reinforce to our students what we need to get done in order to earn that diploma. But we will continue to push our kids to receive those hours, to get their diploma, and we will continue to use Bright Futures as a big selling point for our program. I hope I answered that question as well.
Oh, yes, you did. Thank you.
Absolutely. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Dr. Rendell, is there anything that you would like to add to that?
Well, just that the attainment of the IB diploma is only one of the factors that goes into determining whether they achieve the Fulbright Future Scholarship. So it's one of the factors, and the IB diploma attainment rate for us for this year was still very strong. I mean, that's the thing that Matt seems to missing out on the fact that it's still very strong. Maybe not as strong as our normal rate, because we're pretty darn good, but still pretty strong. What it revealed is the reliance on the internal assessment this year because of no exams. And so what he was saying is we're going to make sure that we do a good job with the internal assessment, because you never know if it ends up being this much of a factor in the future. But we had a large class this year, larger than the last couple of classes, larger than this senior class. And for us to have done as well was still a very strong performance.
Yes, I agree. And I don't mean at all to underscore what our kids did. So yes, we had a great year. And I am extremely proud, like I said, of both our students and our teachers, because of the circumstances we were in. It asks a lot of both. And so I just think that our kids really did a great job. And when when you evaluate our program, we continue to be one of the strongest programs, and I believe, across the world. So, the numbers suggest that, and we continue to hold true to that, Okay. So going forward, Zenaida, if you would like to unmute and ask your question, please.
Okay, this is a super easy one. So for the parents that have already made their choice known, either through the email or the website, is there some sort of confirmation, for those paranoid parents like myself, like, did you actually get what I wanted? Or do we just not need to worry about it if we already did it?
That's a really good question. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. So I will talk to Mr. Ryan. He was the one who developed the survey, and see if it has a feature where we can send you an automatic reply. And if not, we still will figure out a way to do that. So no one needs to worry. Good question. We'll figure that out.
Thank you, Zenaida. Okay, John Berard, if you want to unmute and ask your question, please.
All right, thank you. I keep hitting the lower hand button instead of the speaker. I heard schedule formatting being brought up earlier. Since we're doing the block schedule, when we get the physical copies, will they show both the first semester and the second, or just the first?
Very good question. So we can print it two different ways. And I actually think don't hate me for this, but I actually think I'm going to kill some trees, because the one way we print it is just first semester. The other way we print it is both semesters, but it's hard to determine which is which semester. So I think we're going to print you both. So, and say first semester, but then you look at the second page and you can see what your other courses will be. If we can figure out a way for it to print and say first semester, second semester, then we'll do that. But because the schedule is built for both semesters. So there's nothing wrong in revealing, what the entire year looks like.
Okay, yeah, that sounds perfect. And then the second one was my daughter started getting, she has a chronic illness that started last year, and we filled out the form, but it needs to be renewed every year. Should we bring that on registration night with the other paperwork?
Man, you're hitting some good questions. There's actually a change in, I would hold that paperwork for now. There's actually a change in who's going to, can't think of a better word than own that paperwork. So I would hold it. If you have it with you at registration, great. But I think we're probably going to collect that in a different manner. You know, bring it with you if you have it. It's available. I'm not sure we'll be collecting it, but you know, at registration, but probably after.
Okay, thank you. And we did email the counselor and she said she'd send it. Would that still be an up-to-date form or would that be sent out a different way?
Same form. I think it's going to be the same form. It's just who holds the form after it's turned in is going to change.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you then.
Oops, I was on mute. Sorry there. Thank you very much. And it looks like we have one last question. Anna Vangari, if you would unmute and ask your question, please.
Yes, this is regarding, like, is IB actually planning to do online testing if this continues through the April and May timeframe?
Yeah, so I mentioned this earlier, but just to reiterate, as of right now, we have heard nothing from IB as far as any changes that will be made to the testing or to the back end of the school year or really to anything in regards to IB. As IB unfolds that and reveals that to us, we will certainly let all our parents know. But as of right now, we are going to continue to as if we are taking tests in May and as if they will be face-to-face. I do not believe in the past, and I may be mistaken here, but I do not believe that IB offers online versions of their test. So that was something that we were dealing with last year. And going forward, I don't know if that's something that will change. But as of right now, I guess we are going to continue as if tests will be taken face-to-face in May.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Dr. Rendell, is there anything that you want to add or any questions that you might have for our parents?
I don't think so. I really appreciate everybody engaging in this. And if you know anybody who missed it, is going to be, we did record it, so it'll end up on the website. We are going to be making some changes to our website, providing even more information. We're going to probably hold some more virtual meetings like this throughout the year, even after we start and go through different periods of the year. So, this is a new way for us to communicate, and we're going to take advantage of it. I definitely want to thank all the teachers that were on tonight because, the more information you have, the more information you can share with people that you talk with, and the more informed you are, and that kind of thing. So I just thank everybody for joining us tonight.
Yeah, and myself the same. I just want to say I think we had a great showing tonight, and I appreciate all the families and as well the students. I don't think we all knew, but I know some of our students were asking some questions in there, and it was great to have them involved. Again, teachers, thank you. Dr. Rendell, thank you. Absolutely, going forward, we are going to continue to use Microsoft Teams as a way that we can have parent meetings. And we'll, so anyways, as we go forward, but I thought this was a great opportunity to ask some great questions and get some good answers, and thought it was very successful. So thank everybody for being here. And if anybody has anything to add, please let us know. Okay, Dr. Rendell, you think we're ready to shut it down?
You're the moderator. It's your call, but yeah, I think we're done.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and close it down.
Guys, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. And,
thank you.
Anything I can do, please reach out to me through email. Anything on this, for you going forward, let me know. But thanks for being here, guys. And this will be on the website in a couple of days. And we'll try to hold some other ones here real soon. So again, have a great night. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.